Welcome to Nomad Media, Automotive Tales, where we tell a little bit of history, vehicle stories, and unique and personal experiences. I hope you enjoy today's show. Let's get right into it. All right, so today we have Brad Anderson's 1972 Buick Skylark. Brad, thanks for taking the time to talk to me about your car and everything. So what can you tell us about this beauty?
It's a 1972 Skylark, built off the same chassis as the Chevelle. So you had the Chevelle, Pontiac, Oldsmobile, and the Buick was kind of the top end. Unique thing about this car is it's a two-door coupe in fire red, which not a lot of the Buicks came in fire red. And it's a non-AC, non-radio car, so manual windows, everything, but the only power options were steering and brakes. 350 car, two barrel. So it was kind of the economy car for Buick back in the day. Mm-hmm. The car still wears its original paint. It's never been painted. There's a little bit of paint work here and there, but it's got bumps and bruises and scratches. And interestingly enough, here on the door, whoever drove the car without air had the window down, so the arm sweat and arm has wore the paint off there on the door. So, but you know, it's never been painted. It's just been polished, and you know, we love it the way it is. So we call her Sister Ruby. That's her name.
It's definitely a good looking paint for being original paint and everything. So 72, yeah. That's 51-year-old paint right there, and it still looks great even with the little blemishes on it, but it gives it character.
Yeah,
right? So,
good 50-footer. So.
Well, it's better than that. Like, it's better than that. Like, yeah. Don't let it fool you. So, yeah. Well, hey, that's some great history on this car. What type of storage you got with this thing, man? Like, what can you tell me about it?
Well, I purchased the car in 2015, mm-hmm. You know, like everybody, you know, 2015 roadkill is kind of coming about. Watching it on YouTube, and you know, ever since I was a little kid, I've always watched car stuff on TV. You know, you going back to the old Power Block on the Nashville network. You know, on Sunday afternoons I would record it. So I've always been into cars. I've had Chevelles, Grand Nationals, Supras, anything fast or fun. I've always had it, but I got out of the hobby, and then for a while I kind of missed it, and I found myself watching more than doing. Mm-hmm. So, you know, and I was one of those perfectionists where I didn't want to buy a car until I could make it perfect. And, you know, I started watching Roadkill, and it was like, you know, these guys are beating these things down the road. And so, you know, I was looking for a car. I kind of was looking for a Skylark or a Chevelle. Found the Skylark on Craigslist when that was a thing in Winder, Georgia. And so it's about 4 hours from here in Birmingham. And me and a friend of mine just decided on a Thursday afternoon to get in the car, get in the truck, didn't take a trailer, a couple of hand tools, and just highballed over there. And bought the car, drove it. It broke down on us in the drive, in the initial test drive. And we proceeded to break down probably 5 times, one of the times in the dead center of Atlanta by the Varsity on I-75, and we made a lot of friends that day. You know, in traffic, but
so you know you bought the right car.
I knew we broke down about 5 times on the way home, and it was great. Breaking down is part of the fun, you know.
Oh, it's so much fun.
It's so much fun. It wasn't fun in the middle of Atlanta, but
so it's scary at first. The first thing you think is like, oh crap, yeah. How am I getting home? Yeah. But the second thing is like, oh wait, this is an old car. We can make it run on the side of the road with nothing. Exactly. Give it some zip ties and some duct tape and it's running.
We literally got it running with a friend of mine. My best friend had some gum in his pocket, and it was a bad connection in the coil, and he shoved that aluminum up in there, and it made it stay, and we drove about 150 miles home with bubblegum wrapper holding it together.
I tell you, not many people these days can say that they've got their car running with a piece of bubblegum wrapper or bubblegum wrapper.
Very resourceful.
Not that many people carry bubblegum anymore these days, but
exactly. So, but it was a great trip, and that was kind of the thing, was getting back into it. And so 2015, well, this is the thing about the car. I know it was bought in 71 in Atlanta, Georgia, at Bill Davison Buick in Atlanta.
Do you know if that still exists?
It does not. I don't think it exists. I looked it up on the internet. It's on Peachtree Street downtown.
Okay.
And all the documents, there's a picture, I think, of the documents that came with the car, and there's the original owner bought the car in October of '71. It's got his signature on the warranty docs and everything, and the car pretty much lived its whole life in and around the Atlanta area, and Winder's about hour and a half, 2 hours west of Atlanta, so it's kind of a suburb. So it's pretty much been in Atlanta its whole life, and then so we drove it home, and when I drove it home, it had a transplanted, the original 350 and 350 transmission were long gone. You know, it was pretty much a factory car, except for it had been lowered 3 inches front and back, which was a really bad idea because it scrubbed on everything and was really not drivable. But and it had a 455 big block Buick in it that was pretty decent motor and a really weak 350 transmission. But we drove it, my son and I, and that's the other thing is, you know, I wanted my son and I to be able to experience the car. You know, he's 15 and he's not getting any younger. He's only son, so it was all about us being able to do things with the car together too.
I don't think there's any better way, honestly, for like a son and dad, even a son or a dad and daughter, if they're so inclined to really get with each other and spend some time together, other than like building a car with them. Like, especially if it's a car that you want to keep in the family.
Yeah.
Like, that's one of those things that's like, I think it's overlooked these days because modern cars, you just can't work on them. Like you were talking about, that gum wrapper story would have never ever worked on a modern
wouldn't
car.
have got you home.
So these old cars, they provide a really good way to like stay connected, like keep the family close and things like that. And it gives you some quality time with sons, daughters, whoever wants to work on it with you. But I think that's a great reason to buy old cars these days, honestly. So.
And then everything that's been done on the car, except for, well, I mean, everything that's been done. I taught myself to build transmissions in this car. I built a Turbo 400 because the 350 left the chat early. It did not like that 455. And so, you know, I mean, that's the thing with getting it running. You know, I don't have enough money just to come in here and just rotisserie this car. And that's not what this car is. Nobody cares about a low-end Skylark with no options. So it's a blank canvas. I could do whatever I wanted to with the car. So, you know, just started making it better. We did fuel injection, Phytech on the 455. We built a 400, put a new rear end up under it. It's got all new gears under it, positive traction, four-wheel disc brakes, just little increment of things that, you know, iterative things that made the car better and better. And that all led up to my son and I and some really good friends of ours did the 2018 Power Tour, which is in the Southeast. And we did 4 stops. We didn't do the last 3, but we did 4 of the stops from Bowling Green, Birmingham, Chattanooga, and Atlanta Speedway with the 455 and, you know, upgrades that I'd done, cooling, and did really well. Car did fine. And we've done shows, cruise-ins, just, you know, the 2 of us riding around in it, the family go to dinner or something in it, just kind of playing with it up until 2019. And 2019, my son and I were going to a car show, 4th of July car show on the other side of Birmingham, about 40 minutes away. And the 455 had started having some problems and left us stranded on the side of the road, and there was no getting it running. And so
no bubble gum in that.
No bubble gum. So. It was terminal. We actually cracked. It's 2-bolt main 455, and one of the bolts left the chat, broke the head of the bolt, came off. Had some water pump issues too. So it was tired. I think I actually hurt the motor on the dyno at Power Tour 2018.
Okay. Well, at least you killed it in a.
Yeah.
It went out in a blaze of glory.
She made 410 foot-pound of torque at 2,500 RPM on the dyno. That's about 320 horsepower, 200. I can't remember. 300 horsepower. Not great horsepower, but they make a ton of torque.
Those are some fun numbers right there.
Yeah. And it was fun. The car would break tires loose. It was just a fun car. So anyway, so the motor went out, and I pulled the motor and transmission out, and you know, Buicks are great, but they're rare. It's hard to find parts. They don't make parts very much at all, other than the floor pans and some of the chassis stuff and the roof. There's only really one manufacturer who makes anything. So the price to build back that 455 right was almost approaching the cost of a crate LS3 to make the power that I could make with an LS3. So, you know, so that put us into 2019, and then 2020 starts. You know, COVID's coming up. January, February time frame, I found a good deal on a crate motor, and that's kind of what started the whole downhill of everything. And so,
well, you say downhill, you don't mean bad, like, because this is a nice car, like,
downhill financially, uphill car performance and asset, I guess, right?
Uphill and fun. The fun factor went this way.
Fun factor went up, bank account went down.
That's how it always works, though.
Yeah, exactly.
It could be a lot worse thing.
It could be a lot worse. You know, there's a lot. I don't golf, I don't hunt, I just do cars, right? And so anyway, so
me and you are like two peas in a pod here, so
exactly. So it was really one of those learning things. I'd never. I mean, I've done some LS stuff. My son and I are fixing up a truck for him to drive, for his daily driver. So I've done some LS stuff. I'd never really done a lot, you know. And everybody talks, you know, oh, LS swapped the world. It's, you know, for the money, the availability and the performance and the reliability and just the fun factor, this LS woke the car up. It's a completely different car. So we did a LS3 swap, all electronics, new gauges that are digital. It looks old, but it's not, right? Everything under the car has been rebuilt. The only wiring that's still factory is the body harness for the lights and some of the underdash stuff. So everything's been redone. We rebuilt the floor. It's got it's LS3. It's got Texas Speed top end stuff, goodies, parts, heads, not the heads, but the new springs, all the upgrades you put on LS3. Fairly radical stage 2 Texas Speed cam, an Aisin AR5 transmission, which is not something a lot of people have heard of. It is a transmission that started its life in the Mark III Turbo Supras.
Okay.
And found a way into the Colorado trucks, and late model Colorado trucks, and Hummer H3. It's in the Slingshot. So they're a pretty robust transmission, and there's a company that makes an adapter plate. So we actually converted the car to a 5-speed. And built a new tunnel, all new drivetrain. Probably took the motor in and out 15 times when we were swapping it. The motor's actually pushed back about 2 inches. The number 1 spark plug's even with the spindle. So it, from a driving perspective, it drives really, really good. It's all new up under. So, you know, it was a learning. Everything that we did, we learned, right? So transmission, I'd never done an LS swap. And the first times, you know,
it's all about that you're happy with it. I mean, like, as long as you're happy with it, there's nothing that can really replace that. So it sounds, man, I would have never guessed a Supra transmission. Like, I was just like a Toyota transmission just in general, not just Supra, but it's like a Toyota transmission. Like, I know that
it's super popular in the drifting. These transmissions for these LS combos go in BMWs and all kind of things. So, you know, if I hooked it on a drag strip with this much power, it would leave parts, you know. But that's not what I do. I drive it. It's a canyon carving car. It's fun. We drive it, you know.
This is a memory maker.
It is. And we did 2022 Power Tour.
Yeah.
We completed the whole thing. My son and I did 1,700 miles together. It was hot.
Well, y'all built it right, is what you're telling me here. Like, it's built right. If you can run, you said 1,700?
1,700 miles from daylight to day. If you've ever done a power tour, it's amazing, but it's tiring. You start early, and you don't get done till the night, and you're just running the whole time.
So talking about that right there with the power tour and tiring and things like that. So many people don't understand driving an old car is not the easiest thing. Now, this, I'm assuming you have power steering and things like that. So you have some of the creature comforts already in your car. But a lot of these old cars don't have power steering. Like, I've met plenty of people that don't have power steering on the car, and a lot of people think when they get in these old cars, it's like Vin Diesel off Fast and Furious or something, where you can just spin it around and floor it, and you can go 200 miles an hour like that. It's not like that.
I guess the easiest way to say is
they squeak, they creak, they rattle, and most of the time they like to fall apart. Like,
well, you ride in a modern car, you ride on these cars.
Yeah.
And it's great. I mean, if I'm having a bad day, I get in this thing and I go hit these back roads around the house and just go within the speed limit, of course.
These are definitely more engaging, is a good way to put it, like, than the modern car. Modern car almost drives itself.
Exactly.
And these,
there's no cruise. There's, it doesn't even have power windows. It has AC. I'm still working out the bumps on that new AC. Still gotten that straight, but I just like the windows down, man. It sounds great. It goes fast. It drives good, and makes you smile. And that's what it's all about, man. I mean, it's not perfect, and that's what I like about it. It's not a perfect car. I can drive it to Walmart. I don't care if I get a door ding. I probably won't even notice it. So,
and if you do notice it, you'll fix it.
Yeah, so, I'll fix it eventually.
Yeah, it'll be fixed at some point. Yeah, so it won't be there long.
So, but it's a way to enjoy life.
Yeah. So you told me about this this hood right here and how it's got a story, but there's an imprint on it of of something, and so tell me about that. Tell everybody about that.
So when I first went to pick the car up on the test drive, I noticed that there's an emblem that's embossed into the paint. It's Imron lacquer paint, right? And so apparently the car's been off the road for quite a while. It had been, and it's got an 1982 emission sticker from Atlanta in the window still. And I asked the guy, what is this on the hood? And apparently the car was stored under a cold rolled steel tarp that they put over steel from a foundry when they're transporting it. And the car was under that tarp for so long that the actual emblem embossed into the paint. You can't get it out. You can't scrub it out. You can't polish it out, but it's just cool. It adds to the character, and everybody who sees the car says, "What is that?" And I go, "Well, that's a cold rolled steel mark emblem from some steel company somewhere in Georgia." So it's a good conversation starter with the car. So
if it ever came to you changing that hood out or wanting to fix your hood, honestly, just buy another hood.
It hurts. It hurts. I've got a GS hood with the snorkel sitting in my shop that needs to be repaired. And part of the reason why I haven't done anything with it is I don't want to get rid of the original hood. So
you don't get rid of that. That's amazing. Like you would just buy a new hood. Like,
absolutely.
If you need another hood, you just buy a new hood.
Yeah, absolutely. So.
But Brad, thanks for telling me about your car, man. Like it's got an awesome history to it. I love the stories you're telling, and I love the fact that you and your son are working on it together, and y'all are making it a family project. Thanks for telling me about it, man. Just appreciate it.
I appreciate the opportunity. Enjoyed it.
So that's going to do it for Brad Anderson's 1972 Buick Skylark. I really appreciate it, man. It's a beautiful car, and like you're definitely handling it the right way, in my opinions and things. Like not that matters, but you're definitely doing it right. This is a really cool car, a really cool project. Do you have anything you'd like to say to anyone that might be watching in TV land out there or YouTube land?
Don't make them perfect. I think Dave Freiberger says it best. He's got a shirt that says, "Don't make it right, get it running." Don't get it right, get it running. And it's all about just getting them back on the road and enjoying the cars as they are. They don't have to be perfect.
And see, that's a great way to go about old cars too. Get it running. It doesn't have to be perfect to enjoy it. But man, thanks again for taking the time, and we'll see you in the next one.
At the next car show, okay?
Well, that's going to do it for today, guys. Thanks for watching. Be sure you like, share, and subscribe, and I'll see you in the next one. Peace.